Welcome to the Superstar Communicator podcast. My name is Susan Heaton-Wright, a leading impact, speaking and communications expert. My aim is to show you how to make an impact so you will be heard, listened to and respected for career success. Listen weekly to the podcast and go to our website, superstarcommunicator.com. Hello everybody, this is Susan Heaton-Wright from Superstar Communicator. Thank you very much for tuning in today, and I wanted to thank you for the continued support for this particular podcast. This is something that I do as an independent, as a thought leader and expert in my field. So I do all of the marketing and the editing and all of the other things myself. And to get the support from you all means so much. We are on the verge, as I speak, of having 50,000 downloads now, which is amazing. Please, to support the podcast, please remember to subscribe to the podcast and also to leave a review. It would mean so much to me and be so supportive. We've got some great podcast interviews lined up in the next few months. I've reached the stage now where there are some really, really good PR companies from the United States that get in contact with me with suitable people to interview, which is really interesting because they're launching books. Not all of them are quite right for this podcast, but even so, it's great that the reach is getting out there. And as you know, I want to make sure that everything that I produce on this podcast is of interest to you and of value to you. So today, I will tell you about something that I have launched and something that I'm trying to support people with, related to raising their credibility and their exposure. And that is about being a podcast guest. Now, I'm sure that you've noticed, I've certainly noticed lots of people launching their own podcasts this year, which is superb. Honestly, I am always delighted to support other people, and I think it's great that people have taken the plunge with this. They are becoming more and more popular, and many businesses and thought leaders have launched podcasts this year. And in the United Kingdom, we are behind the United States with this. The figures that I've got for the United States are that there are 850,000 active podcasts and more than 3 million podcast episodes. And in the US, 51% of the population over the age of 12 have downloaded at least one podcast. They listen to them on their phone mostly, and 3/4 of those people listening want to learn new things. And, if you are an expert on this, absolutely, you want to make sure that you're podcasting. But the problem is, and I know this, that podcasting is very time consuming. I love it, but for some people, their focus might be on other things, or the technical side might just be daunting, or they're already marketing in other ways. And of course, you've got to make decisions on what you spend your time on for marketing. Well, I first launched my podcast in 2014, when in the United Kingdom they were not mainstream. Although in the United States there were plenty of listeners, in the United Kingdom the popularity was yet to take off. It was a very good match for my business, as you know, and it showcased my speaking skills as well as expertise. And I know that I procrastinated about setting up a podcast, mainly due to the technical skills, the required time, and the whole thing that would anybody listen? But eventually I pushed through this because I knew it was a really, really good fit for my business. And I know from speaking to other people that time and technical concerns stopped them from launching a podcast, despite this being recommended as a great thing to do for your business, which seems to be the thing with podcasts this year. And podcasts appear to be the latest shiny object for marketing, and it won't work for everybody. Believe me, it won't. But marketing is a really, really good good tool for individuals and businesses. And you can really raise your credibility. It is a great thing to do. And if 3/4 of people are listening to learn new things, there is an audience out there. If you are a thought leader or an expert, or you're wanting to demonstrate your credibility. However, I have some good news, because the majority of podcasters have guest interviews and they need great people to interview. You could be a podcast guest and experience the benefits of being on a podcast without having to launch one. So why is being a podcast guest such a good idea to pursue? It's really good publicity for your business, or if you've launched a book or a new product or a new service. If you are on the right podcast, you can describe what you do, how you can help others, share tips without selling. And here's the thing, you mustn't sell. Any good podcaster will give you the opportunity to share contact details and even offers, if you ask, at the end of the podcast. Also, the podcast is likely to be shared to different connections to the ones you already have, even countries. So potentially the reach can be very, very wide. It could be used as part of a PR campaign to launch a new product, a business, service, or even a book. I'm approached by many authors who have just published a book and have included interviews with authors. These books are a really good fit with Superstar Communicator podcast, and it really adds value for you, the listener. And I actually get lots of requests for authors to come on, but unless it's a good fit with the Superstar Communicator philosophy and the concept about spoken communication, I don't pursue the offer from that. It also raises your credibility as an expert or specialist. I have been interviewed for podcasts where the podcast asks challenging questions, and it's really, really great. It's a chance for me to demonstrate my expertise to a new audience. What a great opportunity. Podcasts are all also evergreen. Unless the podcaster takes down the entire podcast, the interviews are available on the internet forever. Unlike a press release or a post on social media, it's going to have an impact and search potential for much longer. You can use it in your own marketing campaigns. You can send it out to your own newsletter list. You can post the podcast interviews on your social media and other marketing campaigns. It also raises your personal brand. Even if you're representing a company, it is also great exposure for yourself internally and within your industry. Don't underestimate the power and impact of these interviews. Of course, business friends and contacts often ask me how you can be a podcast guest. And there are a number of things that you can do. Everything from building your own podcast page, podcast guest page in your website that you can send to potential podcasters, searching around for opportunities, obviously asking your friends, although it might not be a good fit for their podcast. But one of the things that I have done is to create a podcast guest ebook with top tips on how you can apply to be a guest, what you need to have in place to make yourself credible as a guest before you approach podcasts, but also how to word the pitching. Now, I'm going to be really, really honest with you now. I do get a lot of podcast guest requests, and the vast majority of them I don't pursue any further because of the way that people approach me. Dare I say it, some people are really, really arrogant. It's all me, me, me. I'm the best. I need to be on your podcast. Nobody needs to be on my podcast. I must be on your podcast. I'm going to be a great guest. All of those things. And the trouble is, they're likely to be really, really good guests that you, the listener, would love. But it puts me off, particularly when I only have a limited amount of time to go through requests and go through applications. So what I have done is to write a short ebook about being a podcast guest to give you some tips on how you can approach potential podcasters like me. So if you want to get this ebook, and obviously it's free, you need to go to superstarcommunicator.com/podcast guest tips. It's as simple as that. superstarcommunicator.com/podcast guest tips, and you will receive the book, and obviously there'll be some emails afterwards with more tips, so you can really build up your knowledge of how to be a great guest. I wish you luck, and honestly, share this with other people, because this is about us raising the profile of podcasts and also getting some great guests on podcasts. So until next time, I wish you well. Don't forget to download the ebook. Until next time, this is Susan Heaton-Wright from Superstar Communicator. You have been listening to the Superstar Communicator podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and review the podcast on iTunes and on apps. Please contact us if you want to discuss any topic, could suggest a topic for us to include, or a guest who could come onto the podcast. Go to superstarcommunicator.com.